What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be going over The Amazing Spider-Man. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo Neves. I talk about movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy. You are in the right place. And like I said, today we're talking about The Amazing Spider-Man. So without further ado, let's get into the review. And you might have noticed I have a little bit of a change in background. There's some things going on at my house that we are needing to move out. So studio change is going to come once again very, very shortly. Something happened very similar in my apartment a couple years ago. If you guys remember that, I mentioned that in one of the videos. But besides that being the fact, we are here to review The Amazing Spider-Man once again in preparation for a brand new day coming out in about a month. Now, I have said multiple times throughout this review series that I am a huge Spider-Man fan. Spider-Man is my second favorite superhero of all time. However, I have never seen The Amazing Spider-Mans. Mainly that is because growing up, I refuse to believe that Tobey Maguire wasn't Spider-Man and that we were casting someone else and Andrew Garfield and things like that. And on top of even that as well, feeling that way when I was younger, everybody that I've ever heard speak about this movie have always said that it wasn't great at all. It was a poor representation of Spider-Man. The movies did not do well. They suck. Blah, blah, blah. That's why there was never a trilogy. They had to cut it off because people just did not want to continue seeing this version of Spider-Man. So because of all that, I never wanted to come and actually watch these movies. But now that I am doing this review series, I'm more obligated to do so. And there's things that I like about it, and there's definitely things that I very much so do not like about this movie. But of course, I will go ahead into my pros and cons and kind of give you details about every little reason why I like or dislike this film. But before I give you my pros and cons about The Amazing Spider-Man, let me know what you guys think about this movie in the comment section down below. I know there are some huge defenders of this movie, so I would love to see why you guys enjoyed this Spider-Man film versus other people that may not like the movie so much. But starting with my pros, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the suit itself. I know the TASM 1 suit probably isn't the most popular one. People like the TASM 2 suit better, but I do think the suit looks pretty good. It's a little bit more of a darker tone. That's the only thing I probably don't really like about it. But overall, I think the suit looks great, especially in the shot choices that they use with the suit, or like the slow motion, trying to make it look more comic book accurate as possible when with the shot choices and the moon in the background and the helicopters flying everywhere. Like, it just looks really cool and has really good cinematic shots with the suit. And I think the suit overall just looks very good for his first suit as Andrew Garfield as this Spider-Man. The action sequences can be very fun as well. Some like the swinging around moments and the POVs of Spider-Man, like, swinging through scaffolding and things like that and through the buildings, and really good movement, the swinging. It looks very, very epic as well. Fight sequences between him and Lizard are always really fun and entertaining. So I think those kind of moments like that definitely keep you amped up and just keep you wanting more, because those fight sequences are very enjoyable. The choreography looks very good. The CGI looks decent enough where it doesn't really take you out of the movie. So I think that is also done very, very well. But overall, I think this movie is fine. It has its entertainment values for sure. There's a lot of things in here that is fun to watch. It's very entertaining, cool little action moments and things like that. So it's something that is definitely rewatchable. It isn't a absolutely awful movie, but there is a lot of things in this film that is holding it down quite a bit. And just me here speaking about my pros, I can't really think about much more than I like his suits and his couple of the action sequences in here. And as a whole package overall, it is decent enough to be watched. Not a Spider-Man movie that I would go out of my way to put. I would much rather do any of the Tom Holland ones or any of the Tobey Maguire ones before I ever put this Spider-Man movie on. But overall, it is still fun enough where if someone had it on, I'm not going to really complain. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my cons. And with my cons, I'm going to start off with, I don't really care too much about any of the characters here. I don't really buy into any of the relationships. All the relationships happen way too fast. You have Aunt May and Uncle Ben, where I don't really feel that connection, that where you get that infamous Spider-Man moment where Uncle Ben does die. You don't feel the emotion. There's really no connection there. The characters, the way they interact just feels very bland and off-putting. Same thing with Gwen Stacy, where Gwen Stacy feels like she's the one chasing after Peter. And Peter kind of just seems so standoffish, and you have very awkward moments and things like that where that relationship develops so quickly that it doesn't give itself time to kind of simmer through and actually become a relationship that you care for. Um, and then you even have just things like with Dr. Connors, where it's a character that is cool, but you don't really care too much about. And yeah, you just every character in this movie just feels very bland and very just one note, and the relationships just don't feel like it's someone or something you should care about. Also, the movie itself is very dull and dark. Like the first half of the movie, like, or like the first hour or so, is quite boring. Not really much going on. Even just the way Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man, it just happens so quickly that that whole situation is very fast paced, but not in a good way. In a way where you just feel like, okay, that just happened out of nowhere. Um, and even though he becomes like Spider-Man out of nowhere, you don't see him fully embrace the Spider-Man role until halfway through the movie. So there's just a lot of setup that's just kind of nothingness and blandness and things you don't really care too much about. Um, then you have again Dr. Connors as Lizard. The Lizard design looks awful. It is just not a good design for Lizard whatsoever. Um, yeah, there's just a lot of things in this movie that is just not enjoyable. The story is okay. There's not really much to write home about. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moments in here. Like, there's cool moments that just seem pointless. That like at surface level they're pretty cool, but when you really think about it, you're like, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, there's a moment where Peter Parker gets shot and it graces his leg a little bit, and he's like struggling to stay up, and it's like, well, you can swing everywhere, you're not going to put pressure on your leg, just swing everywhere. But he's like falling, he can't keep himself balanced while he's swinging, crashing into buildings. And then this guy that he saved his son earlier in the movie realizes that he needs to get to Oscorp, and so he tells all of these crane operators to line the cranes up over the street. And it's like, okay, that was a really cool moment, but when you really think about it, it's like, okay, but Spider-Man can just use the buildings alongside the street. He doesn't need cranes overhead. You know, he's been using the buildings all movie long. So why now does he need the cranes to swing, 2 blocks away to get to Oscorp? Like, it just doesn't really make any sense. It's set up to be like a cool moment. Like, wow, look at the city coming together to help Spider-Man defeat the Lizard. But it's like, yeah, it's a pointless moment because Spider-Man could have just done that regardless without their help. So there's a lot of moments like that where they seem cool, they seem interesting, but once you really actually think about it and go a little bit deeper than just a surface level entertainment, it just doesn't really make any sense. Um, the final battle with the Lizard is very quick and kind of unsatisfying, and just kind of happens in like 5 minutes, if that. It's like a 2 minute fight sequence, and then boom, they defeat him. It's just a lot of things in this movie that just feel pointless, that feel dull, have no emotion, that don't really keep you engaged with the whole movie. And yeah, and I can see why a lot of people may not like this movie, but I can see why someone who grew up with this one would enjoy this. Just like how when you go back to see the Tobey Maguire movies, some people are gonna be like, "This is so cringy, this is so campy, this is so dumb," but people that grew up with it are absolutely in love with it. I can see why someone growing up with this version of Spider-Man would absolutely love this movie, and people that grew up with Tobey Maguire going into this one might be like, that's not really for me. So, but regardless, it's just not a great film overall. It's very mediocre, very middle of the road. Um, and I know a lot of people prefer TASM 2 maybe, but I'm excited to see how that one turns out because I know a lot of people prefer that one over this film. But regardless, I don't think I'm going to enjoy any of them at the level that I do the first 2 Spider-Mans with Tobey Maguire. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys think about this movie in the comment section down below. Share your excitement for Brand New Day. Share your ranking for the Spider-Man movies. But again, if you guys have time with a movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.